Mike Ashley has been outbid in the race to buy Sheffield Wednesday, and the numbers alone explain why this story is quickly becoming one of the most tense takeover sagas in English football right now. Ashley's offer stands at around £10 million. Not only is that bid currently on the table, but it is also reportedly the lowest by a significant margin. That leaves American businessman David Storch as the leading candidate to take control of the Owls while the club remains in administration. The decision now rests with the administrators, Begbie's trainer. Following the collapse of James Board's attempted takeover, they must select a new preferred bidder. If negotiations progress quickly, that decision could arrive before the end of the week. But this situation is not only about the numbers, it is also about strategy. And that is where Simon Jordan stepped in with a strong defence of Mike Ashley. Speaking live on TalkSport, the former Crystal Palace chairman backed Ashley's approach completely. In Jordan's view, Ashley is not losing the race. He is simply operating on his own terms. Jordan described Ashley as a merchant, someone who sets his price and refuses to be dragged into bidding wars. The strategy is straightforward. Place a fixed offer on the table and step away from the chaos. If the administrators eventually become desperate enough, they know exactly where to find him. Jordan even illustrated the point with a metaphor. Ashley places a fiver on the table and says, "Call me if you need me." He does not chase the deal. He waits for the deal to come to him. According to Jordan, that is exactly how a buyer should behave in a distressed sale. No panic, no rushing. No allowing administrators to play bidders against one another. That comment also comes with important context. The previous takeover process produced what Jordan described as an absurd £50 million bid that ultimately could not be completed. The administrators still benefited from a 10% deposit that helped temporarily fund the club, but the deal itself collapsed. Ashley clearly observed that situation closely, and he appears determined not to repeat the same mistake. However, the situation becomes even more complex. Ashley's initial offer may be only £10 million, but reports suggest that if he takes control of the club, he would be prepared to inject up to £100 million immediately into facilities and overall operations. In other words, the lowest bid today could potentially become the largest investment tomorrow. Meanwhile, the rival proposal carries a very different type of risk. According to reporting from Alan Nixon, David Storch's bidding group would be prepared to accept a 15-point deduction next season in League One. That would be a huge gamble. To avoid that punishment, the club's new owners must repay creditors 25p for every pound owed. If that condition is not met, the points deduction is applied. And Sheffield Wednesday already understand how damaging points deductions can be. This season alone, the club lost 18 points. That penalty played a major role in their relegation from the Championship, which was confirmed in February after defeat to local rivals Sheffield United. On the pitch, matters have deteriorated completely. Saturday's defeat to Derby County extended Wednesday's run to 14 consecutive losses in all competitions. At this stage, however, the results almost feel secondary. Relegation has already been confirmed. The focus now is survival. Within the squad, the uncertainty has been impossible to ignore. Long-serving player Liam Palmer recently admitted that the ongoing takeover saga has weighed heavily on the players during this difficult run of form. The financial damage stretches back even further. Former preferred bidder James Board spent more than £4 million covering the club's operating losses while attempting to complete a takeover. In the end, he walked away after concluding that his offer exceeded the true value of the club. That collapse left Sheffield Wednesday back at square one. The next preferred bidder will now have to pass the EFL's owners and directors test before any takeover can be finalised. In the near future, the independent football regulator will also gain the authority to approve deals of this kind. But for supporters at Hillsborough, the most pressing question is much simpler. Do you accept Mike Ashley's cautious offer, trusting his business experience and the promise of a £100 million investment? Or do you take the risk on David Storch's higher bid, knowing it could mean starting the next League One season already 15 points behind? For a fan base that has already endured financial turmoil under former owner De Fontanziri, administration, relegation, and the departure of several key players, the stakes could hardly be higher. Because if Sheffield Wednesday begin next season with another points deduction, the nightmare scenario becomes very real. League One might not be the end of the fall. League Two could be next.